council work session to order.
Your Honor, tonight we have the public hearing for the budget first, I think, a special.
Oh, it's a special meeting?
Yep.
Okay, excuse me. All right, I would like to call the City of Apache Junction special meeting to order. Roll call.
Mayor Wilson,
I'm here, I think.
Vice Mayor Rizzi,
Present.
Councilmember Biggs,
I'm here.
Councilmember Evans,
Here.
Councilmember Gremmel. Here. Councilmember Nesser,
Present.
Councilmember Schroeder.
Here.
You have a quorum, Your Honor.
Okay. Discussion and considerations of resolution number 21-20. It's addressing the City of Apache Junction Classified Plan for fiscal year 2021 to 2022, and the civilian compensation plan, and the recruit and sworn compensation plan, and the Apache Junction's flat and hourly salary for the fiscal year, and declaring an emergency.
Your Honor, I can kick that off. This is part of the budgetary process that we adopt the classification and compensation plan. Each year, this allows for you to establish that framework that our staff are in. There really is not much more than the adoption of the classification for this first item. So that really concludes the presentation from staff on this one.
Any discussion from council? No. Do I have a motion?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that resolution number 21-20, a resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of Apache Junction, declaring as a public record and adopting certain documents filed with the city clerk entitled City of Apache Junction Classification Plan for fiscal year 21-22, City of Apache Junction Civilian Compensation Plan for fiscal year 21-22, City of Apache Junction Recruit and Sworn Compensation Plan for fiscal year 21-22, and City of Apache Junction Flat and Hourly Salary Schedule for fiscal year 21-22, and declaring an emergency be approved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Councilmember Biggs.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rizzi,
Yes.
Councilmember Nesser,
Yes.
Councilmember Gremmel,
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder,
Yes.
Mayor Wilson.
Yes.
Unanimous, Your Honor. Motion passes.
Okay, the public hearing. Discussion and consideration for the approval of resolution number 21-21, adoption of the tentative budget for fiscal year 2021 to 2022. Bryant.
Thank you, Your Honor. Bryant Powell, City Manager. Tonight's public hearing is the first of two public hearings required by state law for the adoption of what I consider the most important piece. Not everybody considers a budget super exciting, but I do. It's a public policy piece. It's your plan, and it establishes your goals and objectives for your next fiscal year. 2 weeks ago, we went over the budget. You've had an opportunity to review it over a period of time. Tonight's presentation will be given by Mr. Busby that'll go over next year's fiscal year budget. But before we jump into that, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to the Budget Committee, consisting of our Finance Director, Leslie, and Anna McCrae, as well as Matt and the team to get this budget to a place where it's at now, where it's balanced. We're super proud of them, and I'm also very, very proud of our department directors who continue to do great work to be able to carry out the goals and objectives of your wishes. So Matt, why don't we go ahead and jump into the proposed city budget, and then we can answer any questions, and then it'll be time for the public hearing.
Thank you, Brian. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I'll run through much of this information you saw at your last work session, but the presentation is updated with additional graphs and a little bit more detail on some of the capital items that you saw last time, but just not in presentation form. So we'll just get started here. Included in this year's budget, as you recall in Brian's explanation at the work session, there was a 10% increase to the health benefits cost. We split this increase between the city and the employees. City to absorb 3% and the employees to take a 7% increase in their premiums. Overall, there's a 3% general increase to the salary schedule. instead of the typical 2.5% step increase. And this is an attempt to keep up with the marketplace and adjust the whole schedule and not just move along people in the steps. And I believe we explained that in greater detail last time. There are 17 net new positions in the budget that you heard about last time, 7 of which are in development services. The main reason for this large increase in development services is the growth to the south, meaning the state land auction of 2,800 acres. We expect over the next 5 years upwards of 5,000 to 7,000 new homes, and a lot of permits will have to be processed through that time frame. So we're going to have to ramp up our staffing levels there. Much of the capital expenditures on the next few slides you've heard some detail about, but they're all listed out here. You can let us know of additional questions if you have any. Each year, you see on the second bullet there, we include a contingency line item for grant matches. We don't know what grants every year that we're going to end up applying for, so we plan a contingency amount to make sure that we can have any matching requirements covered in the budget. You'll see we also are planning for a large expenditure to strengthen and improve upon our wireless connections between different city facilities. Various radio upgrades in PD, these are due to end-of-life issues. The radios are very expensive, ranging from $5,000 to, 10,000, 8,000? And so that's why those may seem like large expenditures, but these both are the mounted units in the vehicles as well as the mobile units that the officers wear on their uniforms with them. And TriTech Central Square is the police department's records management system. So that's the continuing maintenance contract there. We are also continuing the implementation of our large financial software upgrade. Next year, this software called ExecuTime is a replacement for our timekeeping system and HR, well, not HR, our payroll. It's just the timekeeping system, which will replace the Chrono system that you've heard about. And this will link it into our current Munis financials, and it's owned by the same company, so it's a seamless connection there. Do you have something to add on that? Okay. Anna's telling me this 120,000 is actually a 3-year figure over 3 years, so 120 per year over those 3 years? Total. Thank you. Public Works, you see copy machine, many HVAC replacements. Our buildings here are coming to 15 years old, a little over that actually, and you've seen that in your budget each of the last several years to replace a lot of these, and it's a continual process. Our fleet, we have 16 fleet replacement vehicles. Much of those are in the police department. They are the vehicles that get used the most, and the officers are always out on their various beats driving those vehicles, so they typically form the majority of the vehicles we replace each year. The library, we're planning this capital expenditure for smart bins for automatic returns, and that's where they have integrated RFID chips for the books that automatically scan them in and show that they've been returned. Now, Parks and Rec has many different ongoing maintenance projects and replacement projects, and I won't go through each one, but you'll see these are the 3 main ones at Prospector Park, the largest ones. At the Aquatic Center, we are also doing the pump room door. The question did come up from one of the council members about the cost of this door, and it is a special fiberglass type door that is recommended for these types of centers in the, to prevent rust or otherwise. So, a large expenditure for fitness play equipment at Silly Mountain Park, continual trail development and maintenance at Silly Mountain, and then this $40,000 for the BLM pre-purchase services for the rodeo ground. This is the requirements of the federal BLM that we have to go through different appraisal processes, all their different things that we have to pay for to even get to the opportunity to attempt to purchase that property. I'm going to update to Little League facilities, projects related to the media enhancement, as well as repairs at Prospector Park. That should say HVAC replacement in the middle there, large additions at the MGC rooms as well. Now, these are just some general graphs to show where the revenue comes from. You're very familiar with this. About half our revenue is the locally collected sales tax. And then the remainder of the portion is really the state shared revenues. And so with the ongoing discussions of the state legislature about possibly rolling back some of our shared revenue as they look at decreasing moving to a flat tax, certainly that's a concern to us, and this graph displays why.
So I want to make sure on this before we go. This was the major concern that are threats ahead, which is the blue Trivial Pursuit piece there. But that 5.54 million is what's being looked at for the flat tax decrease, 15%, 1.6 million to the base budget if it happens. Thank you.
This is just a graph showing by departments. You'll see here we lumped the budgets by department that represent less than 5% of the budget. We lumped them together. So that's they're all listed here just as reference. But you see public safety, specifically our police department is the largest part of that. Actually, that is just the police department. They represent the largest part of our general fund budget. Now our HERF, our Highway User Revenue Fund, most of it comes from the state shared gasoline tax. That's the green part of the graph on the left. And then we do get a portion of the half-cent sales tax from Pinal County, and that's that large section on the blue on the right. And then the HERF fund by expenditure, and this is typically all of our road projects, right? This big purple section. And then personnel costs in green, and the rest according to how we line it up in the accounting software. And of course, the future threats, we always like to address these and at least let you as a council know that we're aware of them and looking at them as well as the public. We did already realize a reduction in our state shared income tax just by nature of the income levels in the state going down. They share that income tax with the cities 2 years in arrears. So what we're seeing now, this reduction, is because those income levels, those income tax collections at the state started going down two years ago. Then that's what makes this slide even more worrisome. We're already seeing a $500,000 decrease in that budget, and the threat of a potential 1.6 additional to that certainly has concerned us, and we're in constant contact with the league as well as with you to communicate to the state legislature, our representatives, about our concerns and possible solutions, or just persuasion to try to teach them about what we're concerned about, what impacts it'll have on us, and alternatives. So that is all I have to share tonight. Is for your consideration after the public hearing, the tentative budget as presented. And then we have to publish that for 2 weeks according to state law, and we'll be back for your consideration of final budget adoption on Monday, June 14th. And that concludes my presentation.
All right, any council have any discussion or questions?
I do, Your Honor.
Yes?
Matt, first of all, thank you for the charts and stuff. I think it's very easy to understand our budget, especially as being new to council going through it, but being able to understand those numbers for the public is important. Can you go back to the one with the expenditures with the police department as well, or public safety? Thank you. Can we get an explanation unfortunately in today's world of defund police and public safety issues, why public safety is our biggest expense and the importance behind that? I think a lot of people don't fully understand the intricacies there. So if we could get a better explanation from you or Chief Kelly just as to where that money is being spent and why it's important that it's there.
Sure, I'll take a stab if that's okay, and we'll let Bryant or Chief Kelly add to that. But public safety represents 4 divisions. Support services, which represents your records keeping staff, your dispatch staff, the command staff, so the chief, the 3 commanders, lieutenants over the different divisions. Next, we have the largest division, which is patrol division. That's your regular everyday beats. We have 4 beats in the city, and they are the ones you see out on the streets all the time. That's our largest part of the PD budgets. Then we have our criminal investigations division, our investigators. And then we have animal control, which Some cities have that under PD, others don't even do it, but it's very important to this community. So all that wraps up into this. The largest part of that public safety budget is in personnel, like the whole city budget, meaning they represent about, Chief Kelly, is there 100 employees? In
55 and 35.
110, 100, 110?
Just about 50% of our entire staff.
Yeah.
Sniffing is the police, because we don't have a fire department and we don't have a utility department. So when you start to, every city's different, every city's unique, and the way we've grown is, in our way, public safety is 50% of your budget, and about 50% of your people.
And that represents about 70 sworn officers, I believe.
Yeah.
And the rest would be the other staff that I mentioned, the records keeping, the ammo control, the dispatch center, 911. And so that's really what makes up the bulk of that budget is our officers and our employees that support them. So did that answer your question?
It did, thank you, and I appreciate that. That was more of a putting the information out there type of question. And then the other one, in all of those upgrades and improvements that you were talking about, I remember in our individual meetings, you guys had given us a one-pager sheet that equated to, is that what all of these are, just broken down?
Yeah, equated to about 2.7 million.
2.7, 2.6.
Yeah, and that's what these came from. I don't know if it's inclusive of everything there, but that's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Awesome, and I think it again, these are great because it shows that we do keep up and use public funds to invest back into things that benefit them directly, so that's important. And then the last thing is just a comment on the state shared revenue. The mayor and I on Friday went to the Pinal Partnership meeting down in Florence and heard from Legislative District 8, which is just down south to us, but Representative David Cook and State Senator TJ Shope about that. And there's obviously still movement at the state legislature and it's still moving forward, but both of them did express their opposition, and emphatically expressed their opposition, and said many of the state legislators are hearing from their cities and towns and councils and elected leaders and of course their constituents. So please, if any of our constituents are out there listening, please get in touch with them because they do work for you as well. And this does directly impact you, as it showed on the budget. It's $1.6 million, I believe, and it directly affects public safety and parks and recreation. So we need your help in advocating for our community as well. So
Yeah.
that's it.
I just wanted to comment from Braden. I think we're fortunate to live in a community that generally supports our police department. So that's one thing I don't think we have to really worry about, facing the public and demanding that we would even consider defunding them. And we're grateful for our department, and we're grateful for the people in that department, from the people who take the phone calls to the people out on the streets protecting us. And like Braden said, we had met, the mayor and Braden and I had met with some of our legislators on a Zoom meeting. And for anybody that may be listening, this is a big deal, this state shared revenue. We do need your help speaking up to these legislators. We're hearing possibly they don't have the numbers, but what's happening is for the community to, a general understanding is that the state wants to balance, again, its budget on municipalities, on our backs. And that impacts you, and they get to look good if this goes through by giving people a tax break. But when it hits us with the 1.6 million reduction, we have to look at where to trim back. And if you look at the budget that we have, we're pretty trim here. We don't have fat to trim, so we're talking some of the amenities that we have here, our libraries and our, those are things that we don't want to look at having to trim from. So help us out and get a hold of those legislators and let them know.
Or we have to look at new revenue streams, which is always a super popular idea. So
Yeah, property tax, nobody wants to pay more taxes.
Okay, is anyone else? All right, as a public hearing, would anyone like to speak on this item? You can come step forward to the podium.
Our tax man.
I thought you'd be working tonight.
Yeah. The tax man cometh.
Get there.
Al said he would help me on this. Anyway, my name is Jeff Struble. I live here in Apache Junction. Wish to thank you guys, the city council. It's a pleasure to call you Mayor Chip Wilson. Thank you. And thank you guys for doing all the work that you guys do. I want to thank the staff for what they do. It's the running the budget, making it work, making it balanced, doing everything that needs to be done to serve the community is a hard job, and you guys get to decide on how to spend the money. And you guys get to answer to the public how it's spent. Tonight, as always, you guys know what I'm here for.
Yep.
It's a small part of the budget. It's only $80,000. I understand that. The funding for the Health and Human Services grants to nonprofits. Pretty much everybody knows where I stand. I want to thank Councilman Biggs for bringing up the idea of the public service, the police department. Because the government has three things that it's supposed to do. It's supposed to take care of our people, protect them from people outside, protect people from that might hurt them. The second thing that they're supposed to do is to provide for a fair and equitable commerce, which commerce means the sharing of goods and services amongst the people. The third thing that the government, on any level, whether it's an HOA, whether it's the city, the county, the state, the federal government, all they're supposed to do is provide for public welfare. That doesn't mean private welfare. It doesn't mean personal welfare. It doesn't mean individual welfare. And so, not that I'm against nonprofits, not that I'm against anybody out there helping anybody, but it's not the government's purpose to take money from the individuals and give to somebody else to do that they can do for themselves. I have, what do I do with this? For the vision statement?
It's right there.
Oh, I was looking for this. So about 4 years ago, we passed a vision statement, and it reads, Apache Junction is a diverse community of natural beauty and heritage that offers prosperity, compassion, and forward thinking to its residents, businesses, and visitors. Now, when we put that together, my whole intent about it wasn't to be the city council's vision. That is a vision for the people of Apache Junction to go out and fulfill. A vision is something that is out there to always strive to attain. It hopefully will always be refined and worked towards, and so that we can always do that. And the biggest portion that we have to address is the idea of what compassion is. Now, compassion is worrying about your neighbor, all this kind of stuff, but it's not to be giving people a handout. It's to help people stand up on their own, maintain their dignity, maintain their ability to go out and create their own dreams and move forward in life. As everybody knows, I work a lot with nonprofits. I work a lot with people and going out there and doing that. I really, really want you guys to think about what that 80,000 can do. It's not for you guys. First of all, let me say something. I've been attending these meetings, these budget hearings for 14, 15 years. It saddens me every time that the only people that are in the, am I on time?
Yeah.
Still going, keep going.
It saddens me that the only people that are here are staff members and 3 or 4 non-staff members. It really saddens me. That's a side note. Because as Brian said, it's an important part of the process of running the city, and people should be more involved with it. So just to get this real quick, I am here to ask you to not to take that 80,000 and put it towards the police department, put it towards the public welfare, and to help people actually move forward in their lives. About 4 years ago, a woman from Gold Canyon, a wonderful lady, decided that she was going to help out and she raised over $60,000 for our not dog pound, but whatever it's called.
Okay. Finish your statement and then go.
So, and I challenge the people of Apache Junction. It would take 800 people giving $100 to two organizations to fund this $80,000. That's 800 people, and I know out of 40,000 people, there's 800 people that can do that. It would take 800 people giving $100 a piece to do that, and I'm going to challenge 800 people. I'm going to actually challenge 790 people to give $100 to their organization of their choice, so that you guys can see that you don't need to give the nonprofits the money. And I'm going to give this money, or I'm going to give this to Bryant, so you guys can see that I'm not just talking, that I am standing behind my words, and I'm going to, like I say, challenge everybody to step up and do what we need to do to make sure Apache Junction is the community of prosperity, compassion, and forward thinking, and we can't rely on the government to take care of us. All we can do is take care of each other and take care of ourselves and help move forward.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Anyone else? Okay. I'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion.
Can we have more discussion,
Okay.
Your Honor? Joel, are we allowed to respond to the public portion?
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to start asking him questions, then you got to reopen the public hearing. But
No.
if you just want to comment,
I just want to comment on what Mr. Struble had said. He spent 4 years having that conversation up here on council, and him and I have gone toe-to-toe all 4 of those years on that issue. I will tell you that I see things a little bit differently, and I see a little bit where you're coming from. I can understand why the city has that, but I think we need to revisit that. I think we need to revisit that whole dollar amount, and we need to revisit our process in handing that out. So in all the times that we had those discussions and you gave your speech and you talked about it, I just wanted to thank you and tell you that we appreciated your opinion even though we disagreed. But I do see it a little bit differently now. So thank you for that.
Anyone else? Okay. Can I get I'll close the hearing and ask for a motion.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that resolution number 21-21, a resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of Apache Junction, Arizona, for the adoption of the tentative budget for the city of Apache Junction, Arizona for the fiscal year 2021-2022, setting forth the tentative estimates for the monies necessary for the public expenses of the city of Apache Junction, Arizona for fiscal year 2021-2022, and giving notice of the time and place for hearing taxpayers for the adoption of the final budget and declaring emergency be approved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Councilmember Nesser,
Yes.
Councilmember Gremmel,
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rissy,
I'm going to vote yes on this, but we're going to have some very real discussions about health and human services funding. So yes.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Councilmember Biggs,
I, too, would like bigger discussion on health and human services, but overall, yes.
Mayor Wilson.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously, Your Honor.
Okay, I'll adjourn this meeting.